Hello, welcome back to the Python series for episode 3. Today we'll do conditional statements. Before we get into the conditions, you need to understand what keywords are in Python. Keywords are basically reserved words, which means they've been programmed to perform a specific function by the developers of Python. Today we'll be dealing with 4 of these keywords. Let's get started. Here you can see that Python supports mathematical statements, most of which you will recognize. We're going to use these in conditional statements, or otherwise known as if-else statements. This is an example code for an if condition. You can see that the math operation for this condition is greater than. As I mentioned before, keywords are predefined and reserved words. Here, the keyword in Python we're using is if. Note that Python is case sensitive, so if we typed if with a capital I, it wouldn't work. Pause the video here and try out this program. Done. Let's move on. This is an example of an if-elif condition. Elif is basically a keyword, which means else if. It could be said that elif is a way of saying that if the previous condition is not true, then try this one. Again, remember that Python is case sensitive, so typing elif with a capital E wouldn't work. So in this example, we have the variables a and b with the values 5. The first condition is if b is greater than a, then execute this statement. The second condition is else if a is equal to b, then execute this condition. So here, b and a are equal, so we'll skip the if condition and move to the elif condition. So we will end up with the output a and b are equal. Pause the video here and try out the program. Done? Okay, on to the next part. This is an example of an if-else condition. The code under the else keyword only runs when the other conditions don't. In this example, first we try out the if condition. The if condition here is if b is greater than a, which isn't true, so we skip to the else if condition. Else if a is equal to b. This isn't true either, so we skip to the else condition. And the final output for this program would be a is greater than b. Pause the video here and try out the program. Done. On to the next part. If you only need to run one statement or have only one thing happen after a condition is true, you can write it all on one line in the form of a shorthand if statement, where you have the if statement and the execution statement all on one line. Similarly, you can have an if and an else statement on one line too. In this example, you can see many if conditions, one inside the other. This case is called a nested if. In this example here, we have if x is greater than 5, which it is, so we'll output x is more than 5. Then we'll move to the next condition. If x is greater than 10, which it is, we'll output x is also more than 10. Then we'll move to the next condition. If x is greater than 20, which it is, we'll output x is more than 20. However, if this condition was not true, we would have jumped to the else condition. We would say, but it's not more than 20. But that's not the case. So here the final outputs would be 1. X is more than 5. 2. X is also more than 10. And 3. X is more than 20. Pause the video here and try out this program with different conditions. Done? Okay, on to the last part for today's episode. If statements cannot be left blank, but if for some reason you leave an if statement blank with no output or nothing else happening, then you can use the pass keyword. This will prevent your program from ending up in an error. That's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for episode 4. Goodbye!